Billionaire's fiancé accuses the maid of beating his son, but the little boy's words shock him. Marcus Chen stood in the marble foyer of his Manhattan penthouse, his heart pounding as he listened to his fiancée's shrill accusations. The successful tech entrepreneur had built an empire by the age of 33, but nothing in his business dealings had prepared him for this moment. "I saw her, Marcus. I saw that woman strike Ethan." Victoria's perfectly manicured finger pointed accusingly at Elena Rodriguez, the young maid who stood frozen near the kitchen entrance, her dark eyes wide with shock and fear. Elena's hands trembled as she clutched her cleaning supplies. At 28, she had worked hard to build a reputation as a trustworthy domestic worker, sending most of her earnings back to her family in Honduras. This job with Mr. Chin had been a blessing. The pay was generous, and little Ethan had become like family to her over the past year. "Miss Victoria, I would never," Elena began, her voice shaking. "Don't you dare speak." Victoria cut her off, her blonde hair whipping around as she turned back to Marcus. "I came home early and found Ethan crying, with a red mark on his arm. When I asked him what happened, he just kept crying. Then I saw her rush out of his playroom, looking guilty." Marcus ran his hand through his dark hair, exhaustion evident in his features. As a single father, Ethan's mother had passed away from complications during childbirth. He had devoted himself to both his son and his company. Victoria had entered their lives 6 months ago, a socialite from a prominent family who seemed to offer the stability and maternal figure Ethan needed. The engagement had happened quickly, perhaps too quickly. "Elena has been with us for a year," Marcus said carefully, studying both women. "She's never given me any reason to doubt her. And I've been with you for 6 months, and you're going to take her word over mine?" Victoria's voice rose dangerously. "I'm going to be your wife, Marcus. I'm going to be that boy's mother. If you can't trust me about this, then maybe we need to reconsider this entire arrangement." Elena felt tears streaming down her face. "Mr. Chern, please. I love Ethan like he was my own nephew. I would never hurt him. Never." Marcus looked between the two women, his mind racing. Victoria had been wonderful with Ethan, or so it seemed. She'd been patient, attentive, everything he thought his son needed. But there was something in Elena's eyes, a genuine anguish that seemed impossible to fake. "Where is Ethan now?" he asked quietly. "In his room," Victoria said, crossing her arms. "I sent him there after I saw what happened. The poor child is traumatized." "I'll talk to him," Marcus said firmly. "Elena, please wait in the kitchen. Victoria, I need you to give me a few minutes alone with my son." Victoria's eyes flashed with anger. "You're not seriously going to question him about this? He's 3 years old, Marcus. He's probably confused and scared." "He's my son," Marcus said, his voice taking on the steel that made him successful in boardrooms. "And I will speak with him. Alone." As he climbed the stairs to Ethan's room, Marcus felt the weight of the moment. His decision in the next few minutes could change Elena's life forever, could affect his relationship with Victoria, and most importantly, could impact his son's well-being and future. He thought about all the times he'd come home late to find Elena reading to Ethan, the boy's head resting trustingly on her shoulder. He thought about the elaborate birthday party she'd helped organize, staying late on her own time to make sure every detail was perfect. He thought about the gentle way she always spoke to his son, never with impatience or frustration. But he also thought about Victoria's wounded expression, the fear in her eyes as she insisted she'd witnessed abuse. She was going to be his wife, his partner in raising Ethan. Didn't he owe her his trust? Marcus paused outside Ethan's door, taking a deep breath. He had built his fortune on reading people, on trusting his instincts. Now those same instincts would be put to their greatest test. He pushed open the door to find his son sitting on the edge of a small bed, clutching his stuffed elephant, his face streaked with tears. The sight of his little boy in such distress made Marcus's chest tighten with a fierce, protective love that overrode every other concern. The room was decorated in soft blues and whites, with toys neatly organized in bins. Elena's doing, Marcus knew. Ethan sat on a small bed, hugging his favorite stuffed elephant, his dark curls falling over his forehead. When he saw his father, his bottom lip trembled, and he reached out his small arms in the universal gesture of a child seeking comfort. "Hey, buddy," Marcus said softly, sitting down on the bed and pulling his son into his lap. His heart ached at how small Ethan felt in his arms, how vulnerable. "Daddy's home now. Can you tell me what happened today?" Ethan buried his face in Marcus's chest, his small body shaking with suppressed sobs. Marcus held him close, breathing in the familiar scent of baby shampoo and innocence. His son was his entire world, the reason he worked so hard, the reason he got up every morning. After losing Sarah during childbirth, Ethan had become both his greatest joy and his most profound responsibility. "It's okay, Ethan. You're safe now. Daddy's here," Marcus murmured, rocking gently. "Can you show Daddy where you're hurt?" Slowly, Ethan extended his left arm. There was indeed a red mark, roughly the size of an adult's grip, on his small bicep. Marcus's jaw tightened as he examined it carefully. It wasn't a bruise, but it was clear something had happened. The mark was already fading, but the fact that it existed at all made Marcus's blood run cold. "That looks like it hurt," Marcus said gently, keeping his voice calm despite the rage building inside him. "Can you tell Daddy what happened? Did someone grab your arm?" Ethan nodded, fresh tears spilling down his cheeks. "Who grabbed your arm, buddy? Was it Elena?" At the mention of Elena's name, Ethan's reaction was immediate and unexpected. He shook his head violently, his curls bouncing. No, not Lena. Love Lena." His small voice was fierce, protective even, as if the very suggestion wounded him. Marcus felt his heart skip. Okay. I know you love Elena. She loves you too. But Daddy needs to know what happened. If Elena didn't hurt you, who did?" Ethan's small hands gripped Marcus's shirt, twisting the expensive fabric. For a 3-year-old, he was remarkably verbal, another thing Elena had worked on with him, reading to him constantly, teaching him new words, playing educational games during the day while Marcus was at work. But now, faced with this crucial question, the boy seemed to struggle to find the words. "Take your time, buddy," Marcus encouraged, running his hand soothingly through Ethan's soft curls. "Can you tell Daddy where you were when someone grabbed your arm?" "Playroom," Ethan whispered. "And who was in the playroom with you?" Ethan's voice became even smaller, barely audible. "Tori." Marcus froze. Tori was what Ethan called Victoria. "Victoria was in the playroom with you?" Ethan nodded, his eyes downcast as if ashamed. "And where was Elena?" "Kitchen. Making cookies. Chocolate chip." Despite his distress, a small smile crossed Ethan's face at the memory of his favorite cookies, the ones Elena made from scratch every Friday afternoon. Marcus's mind raced. Victoria had said she'd found Ethan crying and saw Elena rush out of the playroom looking guilty. But Ethan was saying Victoria was in the playroom with him and Elena was in the kitchen. The stories didn't match. One of them was lying, and his son had no reason to lie. "Buddy, why did Victoria grab your arm? Were you doing something you weren't supposed to do?" Ethan shook his head again more vigorously. "Wanted Lena. Called for Lena. Tori said no. Said I have to love her now. But I wanted Lena to play dinosaurs." The pieces were starting to fall into place, and Marcus felt a cold dread settling in his stomach. "What happened when you called for Elena?" "Tori grabbed me." Ethan's voice broke. "Hurt me. Said I'm bad. Said if I love Lena more than her, I'm bad boy. Said Lena is just the maid, and I shouldn't want her." Marcus felt his world tilting. "You're not a bad boy, Ethan," he said firmly, cupping his son's tear-stained face in his hands. "You're the best boy in the whole world. You can love Elena and Victoria both. There's nothing wrong with loving people who are kind to you." "Tori said Lena has to go away," Ethan continued, the words tumbling out now in a rush, as if he'd been holding them inside for too long. "Said when she's my new mommy, Lena can't be here anymore. But I don't want Lena to go. She reads me stories. She makes me laugh. She knows all the dinosaur names. She sings the special song when I'm scared of the dark." Marcus felt as though the floor had dropped from beneath him. The woman he'd planned to marry, the woman he'd thought would be a mother to his son, had hurt Ethan, and was trying to frame Elena for it. Worse, she'd been planning to dismiss Elena once they were married, taking away one of the most stable, loving presences in his son's young life. "Did Victoria tell you to say Elena hurt you?" Marcus asked carefully. Ethan nodded miserably. "Said if I told you the truth, Lena would go to jail, and it would be my fault. Said I had to say Lena did it, or I'd never see her again." Marcus closed his eyes, fighting back tears of his own. His 3-year-old son had been manipulated, hurt, and threatened. He pulled Ethan close again, holding him as if he could shield him from every cruelty in the world. Section 3. Confrontation and Truth. Marcus sat with Ethan for several more minutes, soothing him, reassuring him that he'd done nothing wrong, that Elena wasn't going anywhere, that he was safe. When Ethan's breathing finally evened out and the tears stopped flowing, Marcus carried him to the small armchair in the corner and tucked him in with his favorite blanket and stuffed elephant. "You stay here, buddy. Watch your dinosaur show. Daddy needs to talk to Victoria and Elena, okay?" "Is Lena in trouble?" Ethan's eyes were wide with worry. "No, sweetheart. Elena is not in trouble. I promise." Marcus kissed his son's forehead. "Everything is going to be okay." As Marcus descended the stairs, his mind was clear. The initial shock had given way to a cold, controlled anger. He'd built his company from nothing, had learned to navigate treacherous business waters, had faced down hostile takeovers and cutthroat competitors. But none of that compared to the protective fury he felt knowing someone had hurt his child and tried to destroy an innocent woman's life. In the living room, Victoria sat on the white leather sofa, her posture perfect, her expression one of wounded dignity. Elena stood by the window, her arms wrapped around herself, her face pale but composed. When she saw Marcus, hope and fear warred in her eyes. "Well," Victoria demanded, "did you get the truth out of him? Did he tell you what that woman did?" Marcus's voice was deadly calm. "Yes, Victoria. I got the truth." Victoria's face lit up with vindication. "I knew it. I knew you'd see reason. We need to call the police, Marcus. We need to." "The truth," Marcus interrupted, his voice cutting through her words like ice, "is that you grabbed Ethan's arm hard enough to leave a mark. The truth is that you hurt my son because he called for Elena instead of you. The truth is that you threatened him, told him Elena would go to jail if he didn't lie and say she hurt him." The color drained from Victoria's face. That's ridiculous. You're taking the word of a 3-year-old over mine?" "He's confused, Marcus. He doesn't understand." "He understands perfectly well," Marcus said. "He understands that you hurt him. He understands that you threatened someone he loves. What I don't understand is how I was so blind." Elena's hand flew to her mouth, tears of relief streaming down her face. Victoria stood, her composure cracking. "You're going to believe some child's fantasy over me? I'm your fiancé, Marcus. We're getting married in 3 months. I've been planning our future, our life together." "A future where you planned to fire Elena the moment we were married," Marcus said. "A future where you would isolate my son from someone who genuinely cares for him. Tell me, Victoria, was any of it real? Did you ever actually care about Ethan, or was he just an obstacle to overcome?" Victoria's mask slipped completely. Her beautiful face twisted with anger. "That child is spoiled and overly attached to the help. He needs discipline, structure. He needs to understand his place in society, and that means understanding that people like Elena are employees, not family. You've let her get too close, and it's made him soft." "Get out," Marcus said quietly. "What?" "Get out of my home. Now." His voice rose. "You hurt my son. You tried to destroy an innocent woman's livelihood and reputation. You manipulated and threatened a 3-year-old child. Whatever I thought we had, whatever future I imagined, it's over." Victoria's eyes narrowed. "You'll regret this, Marcus. My family has connections. My father is." "Your father is welcome to call my lawyers," Marcus said. "In fact, I encourage it. Because if he does, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly why this engagement ended. I'll make sure everyone knows you physically hurt a child and attempted to frame someone for it. Now get out before I call security. For a moment, Victoria looked as if she might argue further. Then she grabbed her designer handbag from the sofa, her movements sharp and angry. You're making a mistake. That boy needs a firm hand, and that woman has made him weak.
You'll see.
You'll regret choosing the help over someone of your own class. The only mistake I made was not seeing who you really were sooner, Marcus said. Elena has more class and grace in her little finger than you have in your entire body. Now leave. Your key card will be deactivated within the hour. Victoria stormed toward the door, then paused, turning back with venom in her eyes. She's just the maid, Marcus. You'll never be able to introduce her to your business associates, your society friends. You'll always be the man who chose his employee over a suitable partner. I chose my son's well-being over everything else, Marcus said. Something you clearly can't understand. Goodbye, Victoria. The door slammed behind her, and the apartment fell into silence. Marcus turned to Elena, who had sunk into a chair, her whole body shaking with emotion. Mr. Chen, I can't. She couldn't finish the sentence, overcome with relief and residual fear. Marcus crossed the room and knelt beside her chair. Elena, I am so sorry. I'm sorry I didn't see what was happening. I'm sorry you had to go through this. And I'm sorry I didn't immediately defend you. You have nothing to apologize for, Elena said through her tears. You were trying to protect Ethan. Any good father would have investigated. A good father would have known that the woman who's been caring for his son every day for a year would never hurt him, Marcus said. I should have trusted my instincts. I should have trusted you. Elena wiped her eyes. Is Ethan okay? He will be. Thanks to you. Thanks to the love and security you've given him, he had the courage to tell the truth. Marcus stood. Take the rest of the week off with pay. You've been through a trauma. No, Elena said firmly, also standing. With respect, Mr. Chen, I'd rather stay. Ethan will need consistency right now, familiar faces, familiar routines. If it's all the same to you, I'd like to finish making those chocolate chip cookies and maybe read him his favorite story before bed. Marcus felt a lump in his throat. You're remarkable, you know that? Elena smiled softly. I just love that little boy. He's special. Yes, he is, Marcus agreed. And so are you. The days following Victoria's departure were both difficult and healing. Marcus worked from home, rearranging his schedule to spend more time with Ethan, watching carefully for any signs of trauma from the incident. But children, he was learning, were more resilient than adults gave them credit for, especially when they felt safe and loved. Elena moved through the apartment with her usual gentle efficiency, but Marcus noticed something had shifted. She was more than just an employee now. The crisis had revealed what he should have seen all along. She was an integral part of their small family, the steady heartbeat that kept their home running smoothly. One afternoon, Marcus found himself in the kitchen while Elena prepared dinner. She was making Ethan's favorite, homemade chicken tenders with sweet potato fries, and humming softly to herself. It was a Spanish lullaby, the same one she sang to Ethan when he had nightmares. Elena, can we talk? Marcus asked. She looked up, concern crossing her face. Of course, Mr. Chen. Is something wrong? Nothing's wrong, he assured her. But I've been thinking about everything that happened, about what Victoria said. Elena's hands stilled on the cutting board. Mr. Chen, please don't let her words bother you. She was angry and trying to hurt you. She was right about one thing, though, Marcus said, and Elena's eyes widened in alarm. He quickly continued, not about you, about me. I've been so focused on work, on providing financially for Ethan, that I didn't see what was happening in my own home. I didn't see that you were giving him something I couldn't, consistent, daily love and attention. You're his father, Elena said gently. You work hard to give him a good life. That's important too. But it's not everything, Marcus said. I missed his first steps because I was in Tokyo for a business meeting. You were the one who saw them, who called me immediately, so I could see the video. You were there for his first real sentence, his first day without diapers, his first successful use of the potty. You've been there for all of it. That's my job, Elena said, though her voice was soft. It's more than a job to you, and we both know it, Marcus said. You love him. I do, Elena admitted. I hope that's okay, Mr. Chin. I know I'm just... Don't, Marcus interrupted. Don't say you're just anything. You're Ethan's Lena. You're the person he runs to when he's scared, when he's excited, when he wants to share something special. You're the one who knows he likes his sandwiches cut diagonally, not straight across. You're the one who remembers that he needs his night light at exactly the right angle, or he can't sleep. You're not just anything. You're essential. Elena's eyes filled with tears. Thank you for saying that. You don't know how much it means. I want to make some changes, Marcus said. I want to cut back my hours at the office. I want to be more present. But I also want you to know that your role here isn't just about cleaning and cooking. I want to officially make you Ethan's nanny. Better pay, better hours, and I want you to have more authority when it comes to his care. Mr. Chin, I don't need more money. You already pay me very generously. It's not about what you need, it's about what you deserve, Marcus insisted. Please, Elena. Let me do this. Let me show you how much I value everything you do for my son. Before Elena could respond, Ethan burst into the kitchen, his face lit up with excitement. Lena, Daddy said we can go to the zoo tomorrow. All three of us. Will you come? Please. Elena looked at Marcus, who nodded encouragingly. She knelt down to Ethan's level. I would love to go to the zoo with you, Pequeño. We can see the dinosaur bones. Yes. Ethan threw his arms around her neck. And the penguins. And Daddy will buy us ice cream. Marcus watched them together. This woman who had come into their lives as hired help but had become so much more, and his son who loved her with the pure, uncomplicated affection of childhood. He felt something shift in his chest, something he hadn't felt since Sarah died. A sense of hope, of possibility. At the zoo the next day, Marcus saw his life with fresh eyes. He watched Elena patiently explain to Ethan about different animals, saw how she made learning fun, how she knew exactly when he needed a snack or a break. He saw how Ethan reached for her hand as naturally as he reached for his father's, how he wanted to share every discovery with both of them. During lunch at the zoo cafe, Ethan fell asleep with his head on Elena's lap, exhausted from the excitement. She stroked his hair absently while talking to Marcus about the educational programs at the zoo, her face animated and bright. Marcus realized he was seeing her not as his employee, but as a woman, intelligent, kind, beautiful in her natural, unaffected way. Thank you for today, he said quietly. For what? Ethan's the one who wanted to come. Elena replied with a smile. For being you, Marcus said. For being exactly who you are. Elena looked at him, something unspoken passing between them. For a moment, the busy cafe faded away, and it was just the three of them, a father, a son, and the woman who had quietly become the heart of their home. Weeks turned into months, and the apartment that had once felt like a showplace began to feel like a real home. Marcus kept his promise to work fewer hours, often coming home in time for dinner. He started a tradition of reading Ethan his bedtime story every night, but he noticed that Ethan always wanted Elena there too, sitting on the other side of the bed, her presence as necessary as the nightlight. It was during one of these bedtime rituals that Marcus truly understood the depth of what they had become. Ethan had insisted they read his favorite book about a family of bears, and afterward, as Marcus tucked him in, Ethan looked up with his innocent dark eyes. Daddy, is Lena going to stay forever? He asked. Marcus glanced at Elena, who had started to tidy up the scattered toys. Do you want her to stay forever, buddy? Yes, Ethan said seriously. I want us to always be together. You, and me, and Lena. Like a family. Elena's hand stilled, and Marcus saw her blink back tears. Families come in all different shapes, Marcus said carefully. But yes, Lena is part of our family. She's not going anywhere. Good, Ethan yawned. Love you, Daddy. Love you, Lena. Te amo, pequeño, Elena whispered, kissing his forehead. After Ethan fell asleep, Marcus and Elena found themselves in the living room, the city lights twinkling through the floor-to-ceiling windows. There was a comfortable silence between them, the kind that comes when people have moved beyond formality into genuine connection. Marcus, Elena said softly, using his first name for the first time since Victoria's departure. Can I ask you something? Anything. Do you ever regret it? Ending things with Victoria? She was the kind of woman who fit into your world. Society events, business dinners, all of that. Marcus turned to look at her. I don't regret it for a second. Do you know why? Elena shook her head. Because she saw people as accessories. Ethan was supposed to be the perfect son. You were supposed to be invisible help. I was supposed to be the successful husband. None of us were real people to her. He moved closer. But you, Elena, you see us. Really see us. You know that Ethan needs extra reassurance before trying new things. You know that I take my coffee black in the morning, but with cream in the afternoon. You pay attention because you care, not because it's your job. It started as my job, Elena admitted. But somewhere along the way, it became my life. You and Ethan, this home, it's where my heart is. Sometimes I worry that I've crossed a line, that I care too much. Is it possible to care too much about people who care about you in return? Marcus asked. Elena looked up at him, and in her eyes, he saw everything she was too cautious to say. She was young, yes, and technically his employee, but she was also kind, intelligent, and had proven herself to be exactly the kind of person he wanted in his life and in Ethan's life. I need to be honest with you, Marcus said. These past few months, seeing you every day, seeing how you are with Ethan, seeing who you really are. Elena, you've become important to me. Not just as Ethan's caregiver, but as a person. A woman. Elena's breath caught. Marcus, I don't want to complicate things. Ethan needs stability, and if we take things slowly and carefully, with Ethan's well-being at the center of every decision, how is that complicated? Marcus asked. I'm not asking you to marry me tomorrow. I'm just asking if you'd be willing to explore what this could be. This thing between us that I think we've both been feeling. I've been feeling it since the first time you came home early and played dinosaurs with Ethan, Elena confessed. You got down on the floor in your expensive suit and roared like a T-Rex, and Ethan laughed so hard. I thought, this is what a real father looks like. This is what a good man looks like. Marcus reached for her hand. I haven't dated since Sarah died. I thought Victoria was safe, uncomplicated. I didn't expect you. I didn't expect you either, Elena whispered. But Marcus, I'm a maid from Honduras. You're a billionaire. People will always say something, Marcus interrupted. But the only opinions that matter are in this apartment. Ethan loves you. I'm falling for you. Everything else is just noise. Elena smiled, tears glistening in her eyes. I'm falling for you too. Both of you. My boys. Marcus pulled her close, resting his forehead against hers. Then let's see where this goes. Slowly, carefully, but honestly. Honestly, Elena agreed. Their first kiss was gentle, tentative, full of promise and hope. When they pulled apart, they both laughed softly, feeling like teenagers despite everything they'd both been through. Should we tell Ethan? Elena asked. Eventually, Marcus said. But right now, let's figure out what we are first. Over the next few months, they did exactly that. They took Ethan to parks and museums, shared quiet dinners after he went to bed, talked about their dreams and fears and everything in between. Elena told Marcus about growing up in Honduras, about the family she supported, about her dream of one day becoming a teacher. Marcus told her about the pressure of building his company, about the guilt he felt over Sarah's death, about his fears of failing Ethan. They learned each other slowly, building a foundation of friendship and trust before romance. When they finally told Ethan that Daddy and Lena were special friends, he simply nodded and said, like when the prince and princess in my book are friends and then they get married? Marcus and Elena exchanged glances. Maybe someday, Marcus said carefully. Is that okay with you? Ethan threw his arms around both of them. Yes. Then Lena can really be my mommy, and we can be a real family. We're already a real family, Elena said, kissing the top of his head. The love makes us family, not a piece of paper. But 6 months later, on a sunny afternoon in Central Park, Marcus got down on one knee with Ethan standing beside him, both of them holding a ring box. "Elena Rodriguez," Marcus said, "you walked into our lives as someone we hired, but you became someone we can't imagine living without. You've shown me what it means to love selflessly, to be present, to be real. Will you marry me? Will you be Ethan's mother and my wife?" Elena looked at them both, these two people who had become her whole world, and nodded through her tears. "Yes. 1,000 times yes." Ethan cheered and jumped into her arms. "Now we're really, really a family." The wedding was small and intimate, held in the same penthouse where their story had begun with such turmoil. Marcus's business associates attended, along with Elena's family who flew in from Honduras, their faces glowing with pride and joy. Ethan served as ring bearer, taking his job with utmost seriousness, his little suit perfectly pressed. As Elena walked down the makeshift aisle, wearing a simple but elegant dress, Marcus thought about the journey that had brought them here. It hadn't been easy. Some of his old social circle had indeed whispered about him marrying the help, but those whispers faded when people saw the genuine happiness that radiated from their small family. The people who mattered understood that Elena's worth had nothing to do with her job title and everything to do with her character. Elena's family embraced Marcus and Ethan completely. Her mother, a tiny woman with Elena's same warm eyes, told Marcus in halting English, "You take care of my daughter, she take care of you. That is how love works." During the ceremony, when it came time for the vows, Marcus spoke from his heart. "Elena, you saved us. You saved my son by loving him unconditionally. You saved me by showing me what really matters. I promise to honor you, cherish you, and never take for granted the gift of your love." Elena's vows were equally heartfelt. "Marcus, you saw me when I could have been invisible. You valued me when I could have been disposable. You and Ethan taught me that family isn't about where you come from, it's about where you choose to belong. I choose you, every day, forever." But it was Ethan who surprised everyone. The 4-year-old tugged on the officiant's sleeve and asked if he could say something. When given the microphone, he looked at Elena with complete adoration. "Lena, you're the best mommy in the whole world. You read me stories and make me cookies and sing the special song when I'm scared. When Tori was mean and hurt me, you were there. You're always there. I love you more than dinosaurs, and I really, really love dinosaurs." There wasn't a dry eye in the room. The reception was filled with laughter and dancing. Marcus watched Elena twirl with her father, both of them crying happy tears. He watched Ethan run between the guests, telling everyone that this was his mommy now, officially. He felt a peace he'd never known, a sense of rightness that settled deep in his bones. Later, as they cut the cake, chocolate chip, Ethan had insisted, like the cookies Elena made. Marcus pulled his new wife close and whispered, "Happy?" Deliriously, Elena replied, leaning into him. "Though I never imagined when I took that job interview 1.5 years ago that I'd end up here. Do you miss it? Your independence, your plans to become a teacher?" Elena looked at him in surprise. "Marcus, I'm enrolled in night classes starting next month. We talked about this." "I know, but I wanted to make sure you still wanted to. This," he gestured to the celebration around them, "isn't replacing your dreams." "It's not replacing them, it's adding to them," Elena said. "I can be a wife, a mother, and a teacher. Women contain multitudes." She grinned. "Besides, you're the one who keeps encouraging me to pursue it. Because you'll be an amazing teacher," Marcus said. "You already are," to Ethan. As if summoned by his name, Ethan appeared between them, chocolate frosting on his face. "Can we do the family dance now?" It had been Ethan's idea, a special dance with just the three of them. As they swayed together to a soft melody, Ethan in the middle holding both their hands, Marcus marveled at how much had changed since that terrible day when Victoria had made her accusation. Elena had been exonerated, but more than that, she'd been elevated. Not because Marcus had married her and given her a new social status, but because she'd always been worthy of elevation. She'd always been extraordinary. It had just taken a crisis for Marcus to fully see it. "What are you thinking about?" Elena asked, reading the expression on his face. About how Ethan's honesty saved us all, Marcus replied. If he hadn't told the truth that day, you might be gone. Victoria might be my wife. Ethan would be miserable, and I would never have known what I was missing. Children see clearly, Elena said. They don't have all the complicated filters adults have. They just know who makes them feel safe and loved. And you made him feel both, Marcus said. You still do. The celebration continued into the evening, but eventually, Ethan began to fade, rubbing his eyes tiredly. Elena scooped him up, and the three of them slipped away to Ethan's room, away from the party. As they tucked him into bed, still in his little suit, Ethan looked up at them with sleepy contentment. This was the best day ever. I'm glad you think so, pequeño, Elena said, brushing his curls from his forehead. We're a forever family now, right? Nothing can change it. Nothing can change it, Marcus confirmed. Forever and ever. Good, Ethan yawned. Because I love you both more than anything in the whole wide world. After he fell asleep, Marcus and Elena stood in the doorway, watching their son, because he was their son now, legally and in every way that mattered. Do you ever think about what would have happened if I had believed Victoria that day? Marcus asked quietly. No, Elena said firmly. Because you didn't. You listened to Ethan. You trusted your instincts. You did exactly what a good father should do. I almost didn't, Marcus admitted. There was a moment when I thought about how much easier it would be to believe her, to not rock the boat, to just let you go. Elena turned to face him. But you didn't take the easy path. You took the right one. That's who you are, Marcus. That's why I fell in love with you. I fell in love with you because you loved my son when you had no obligation to, Marcus said. Because you're kind and real and brave. Because you stood there accused of something horrible and you didn't lash out or defend yourself aggressively. You just trusted that the truth would come out. The truth always does, Elena said. Eventually, they returned to their reception, hand in hand, ready to celebrate with their guests. But in the quiet moments throughout the evening, Marcus kept thinking about that day, about the choice he'd made to listen to a 3-year-old's truth, about the life that choice had given him. Years later, when Ethan was older, he would sometimes ask about that day. Marcus and Elena never hid it from him. They told him honestly about Victoria, about the accusation, about how his bravery in telling the truth had changed everything. You saved our family before it even was a family, Marcus would tell him. You knew what love looked like, and you weren't afraid to defend it. But on this day, their wedding day, they simply celebrated. They celebrated love that transcended social boundaries and job titles. They celebrated a child's wisdom and a father's courage to listen. They celebrated finding family in unexpected places. As the night drew to a close and the last guests departed, Marcus, Elena, and Ethan curled up together on the couch, still in their wedding finery, Ethan between his parents. Tomorrow, we start our adventure as a married family, Elena said softly. Tomorrow, Marcus agreed. But right now, this moment, this is perfect. This is love, Ethan said sleepily, wise beyond his years. And it was. Pure, simple, and true. The kind of love that overcomes obstacles, that sees beyond surfaces, that recognizes worth regardless of circumstance. The kind of love that begins when we have the courage to listen, to really see each other, and to trust in the wisdom that sometimes comes from the smallest, most honest voices. Their story had begun with an accusation, a crisis, a moment when everything could have gone terribly wrong. But because one man chose to listen to his child, because one woman had loved selflessly, and because one little boy had been brave enough to tell the truth, it had become something beautiful. A family. Not perfect, but real. Not without challenges, but full of love. And in the end, that was everything.